if you were to go back to when you were in either high school or college, what is the best piece of advice you tell your younger self?
I have two pieces. The first piece of advice is to delete your graduation year from your resume. And delete it from everything that you can imagine, whether it's LinkedIn or your resume. And the reason being is that a lot of the times traditional hirers or recruiters are going to base your salary off of how long you've been in the real world.
Wow.
However, that never applied to me because I had a full-time job when I was in college. So I graduated with 3 years of work experience, whereas my peers were still getting internships.
Wow.
So my salary should be a lot higher than theirs. So that would be a core piece of advice I don't hear anywhere else.
Right.
The second, even if it seems like it's very trivial, be careful what you post on social media. And the reason being is you're wanting to be in social media, you're wanting to be a content creator, other people are going to want the same things. People are going to vet you without even you asking them. So it doesn't matter if you're on LinkedIn or if you're on TikTok or if you're on Twitter or whatever.
Right.
People even look at what you like or favorite on Twitter. So just be very cognizant of your digital footprint.
Love that, for sure.
So those are my two pieces of advice. And then I would say, if I had a third, to take time for yourself. You only have your 20s and your 30s for as long as you do.
For sure. And so what industry did you decide to pursue a career in?
I work in media and advertising.
Media and advertising?
Yes.
Wow, okay. Like what are you doing in particular?
I work in sales at TikTok.
You work in sales at TikTok. Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so I guess kind of like a sales question, but like from what you've seen, throughout your career in sales, like how can someone like crush it in sales, or what is the secret to sales in 2022?
Being human. If I'm going to sell you something, I have to remember you still go home to somebody else.
Right.
Like you still have a home life. You still maybe pick up your kid at 3 p.m. You maybe just graduated, whatever it is. Like the person behind the screen, even in the COVID era, still has a life outside of it.
Absolutely.
So.
And so from what you've seen throughout your career, for younger people today especially, whether it's a certain skill set or attribute that someone should possess when going out into the real world, how can someone become financially free in 2022?
That's a great question. And I love that you asked that. So when I first graduated from college, I thought to myself, I needed to have a wealth management person. I needed to max out my 401k. I needed to do all of this stuff. And really what boils down to being financially free, whether you're 21 or 30, is based on values-based spending. So you have to identify your values, because your values are going to look completely different than mine. And I don't know you very well. You don't know me very well, but like, I prioritize gym, healthy eating, like being able to buy organic food and such, whereas other people might prioritize being able to travel more or might be able to, do X, Y, Z. So whatever that is, being financially free is so dependent on the person and what they value.
Absolutely.
I don't even have a core answer for you on
Sure.
that.
And are you an investor by any chance?
I do invest,
Okay.
yes.
And what are you currently investing in right now?
I dabble in crypto just a tiny bit. Don't ask me any questions about crypto because I really don't know anything.
Right.
And then just the basics in mutual funds, as well as a few other companies that I can actually invest in due to NDA.
Absolutely. And I just have two last questions.
Okay.
So this next one's a fun one we've been asking people.
Okay.
But if you had to start from zero and you had 1 year to make $1 million and your life depended on it, what would you do? With everything and everyone you know now, like you had 1 year to make $1 million, your life depended on it. Starting from zero, what would you do?
I would interview people about their life stories, put it into a full book to be able to lace together the top 50 lessons in a lifetime.
Wow. So why?
Because I listen to people, I am very good with my questions, and I'm very interested in what people have to offer in the world. So why not?
How does that make you $1 million?
The way that I would market and advertise it.
Sell it. Yeah, for sure.
Very much so.
Do you think a college degree is necessary to be successful in today's society?
This is also a great question. So a little bit about me is I come from a fully self-made family. So both of my parents and anybody beyond them on the generational side has never gone to college. So I'm the first in my family to ever go to college, procure a degree, and the first one to ever work in corporate America.
Wow.
So I come from a full line of self-made people, and I can say our family's motto is education is the smarter way to go. It's the easier way to go, but it doesn't mean that it's the only way to success. So having an education enabled me to get 5, 6, 7 years on top of their own experience because I had the skill set to be able to do so, Whereas for them, they had to work the 6-7 years to actually gain the skills that I was learning in the classroom.
Wow.
So I would say, no, a degree isn't everything. A degree cannot teach you soft skills. A degree cannot teach you a lot of things, but you have to do with what you will, with what you have. Sometimes education isn't an option for some people.
And I have one last question,
Yeah.
actually, because this is a good one. So what is your best piece of advice to someone who is trying to get a job at like a big tech company like Google or TikTok or Facebook, Amazon? Like, what kind of led to your success to be able to do something like that? Because a lot of people aspire to work at, a big company like that. So what would you advise to someone trying to get their foot in the door at a place like TikTok?
So 2 things would be, the first, being in the right place at the right time, and having a network.
Okay.
I got my role at TikTok because I was in the right place at the right time. People reinforced within my network to be able to place that role on my resume and to be able to work where I do now.
Right, absolutely. And my last question for you
Yep.
is, if you could spend the day with one iconic figure, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
How do you define iconic?
Whatever, I mean, it's up to, not mean like, if you anybody, you could spend the day, have dinner, spend the day, oversee anyone, what they do. It could be an artist, it could be a business person, honestly, whoever.
I would love to spend the day with my late grandmother.
Wow.
That's who I would spend it with, because she was able to raise someone who created generational wealth.
Wow.
So I would want to know what her secrets are to making my father so successful.
Absolutely. And what was the biggest thing that made your father so successful that you were able to see?
Relationships. He's a contractor,
Yeah.
but he has never, even though I work in advertising, he has never advertised once, and he's had his business for 32 years.
Wow.
It's all word of mouth. Everything is all word of mouth.
That's crazy.
Not even the yellow pages, as
Wow.
crazy as that is for how old we are.
Yeah, absolutely.